What's going on, YouTube? Coming at you today, we got another video. So today's video, what we're going to be talking about is some unrealistic expectations that people get somehow in their life. I don't know. And they expect these expectations to be fulfilled by their future partners. So we're going to tackle another one by Kevin Samuels. He's going to be having a discussion, and we're going to be giving our commentary in the background.
How you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm amazing. How you doing?
Good. How old are you?
24.
24.
I jumped in kind of late on the combo, but
if a woman can't find a husband, are you prepared to buy a man or hire a guy to be your man?
if I get old, like not that 45 is old, but if I get that old and I still don't have a guy, what do you mean by rent one?
You want to go out to a concert? Who's gonna take you?
Just like to date or to like be with?
Either or. Rent-A-Gent is a trusted marketplace for handsome, smart, talented men. Available for rent available for rent by the hour for dates, parties, and then they even got them for rent for like household services, things like that. Yeah, it's like anything else.
So I've never heard about this Rent-A-Gent, right? So it sounds low-key like a escort service. I mean, it might be, it might not be, I don't know. But would you go out on a date by yourself, or would you pay somebody to go out? Or would you pay somebody to go out on this date with you? Yeah, I don't know. Guys have been doing this. I don't recommend it. I've never been in a position that I needed to do anything like that. I don't know about the morality of it. But it is an old profession that goes back, biblical. They've had these situations back, mentioned in the Bible. Not recommended, I would assume. But, dudes have been doing this. I guess it's just kind of an new concept that women are going to be possibility of being, having to think about this. This is a first. Yeah, I've never even, it's a gray area. Let's figure it.
And I've always understood this to be an escort. There's an event you got coming up. You don't want to roll solo dolo because you
What?
Huh?
Does he have a woman?
What fucking difference does it make?
Doesn't matter.
So this is not a single man. This is just.
Why does that matter? See, when guys go to strip clubs or escorts, we don't get to ask those questions.
No.
See, right there already implies that you got leverage. You ain't got no man.
If you that old, yeah.
Not that old, just period. You don't have a man. Whatever it is, you ain't got.
See, what he did say there is logical leverage. You can't really make demands if you don't have any leverage. You're here because you don't have anybody anyways. You're in this situation because you might not have made best decisions. You might not be, in a position to where you're looking for the correct person. I don't think everybody needs to be in this position at all. I think the majority of people, if they got with kind of an equally yoked person, they'll be fine. But with that being said, a lot of people are delusional, leads them to later on in life, not having anybody and then being stuck. I'm just, it's a unique concept of thinking about this with women because she's still asking questions. And as he stated, dudes don't ask this question. These people don't ask these questions. Hey, are you married? Are you in a relationship? Once you leave the dancing studio, once you leave these places, they don't necessarily be like, hey, before I give you this money and you're dancing, do you got a ring on? Because the exchange is not that. No, like I stated, I'm not recommending these things. I've never been to one of these places. However, with that being said, even if going there, there's questions that you just don't ask.
If I was older, yeah. If I was older, it would
how much older does older? What does that mean?
Well, I want to be married in my 20s.
Okay.
Willing, so older for me, like where I'm like, okay, marriage is not an option probably at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have any kids. I'll probably have to be like 37 plus.
Okay, which I said in no man's land.
Yeah, it's up there.
So in no man's land. All right. Why is that such a troubling concept, though?
Well, I come from a two-parent household. I don't plan on getting to that point. My parents been married since they were 18.
All right, it looks like she's come from some stability. Parents been married since she was 18. She's 24. You know, somewhere in there, the parents could have been married. You know, if they had her at 18, she could have been married 24 years. If they had her at 15 or 16, they could have been married 21 years. So the parents have some longevity in there. They have some experience. So hopefully they're putting her in the right position to where she'll be in the same position as their parents, getting married younger. I do have my opinions on age gap dating. They've been married since they were 18. If it works for them, kudos and everything. But if it doesn't work to them, you know, getting older and having a daughter, my opinions would be a little different from what I would want for my son and my daughter. I'd want my daughter to hopefully find a man a little bit more mature and established and aged. I would want my son to wait a little bit longer, wait his turn until he's a little bit more established in age, and then come down and cherry pick a little bit.
My parents were married since they were 18. They're still fairly young now. They're 43. And then,
Right.
So
43.
Well, then move that way in your life, because understand that service exists and it's only about to grow. Because men are not marrying because women aren't giving men the incentive they want.
Now, when you think about that, that's also true. The business, it exists for a reason. So somebody's out here looking for a date. Somebody doesn't want to show up alone. Somebody said something to where this venture has happened. So the more that this happens, which I see it in the future, it is unreal for me at my age when I talk to women who are having relationship issues that seem to be so simple, or they're all looking for a man, and I'm like, where does this man even exist? You know, unrealistic expectations. And then when you have these, you get older and older and older until Kevin said you're in no man's land. And most men 37 years old would prefer not to deal with a 37-year-old woman with all these issues and the inability to sustain a relationship or secure a relationship while she's 37. Why not deal with a simple 30-year-old version of you or 26-year-old version of you that doesn't have 7 or 10 years of bad relationship experiences? Because we all know in these years, the chances of these people becoming single and then stating that they're just going to be nuns and they're going to be celibate and all that is slim. So typically in these years, people's body counts go up, their negative experiences go up. Hence the reason why they don't have a solid relationship in the beginning anyways. But that goes for both sides. Dudes get crazy as well too. When you get so far up in age, if a dude doesn't have anything going for him and he's not a financially stable person and he does not have any kind of goals, dudes hit your financial stride at like 35, 45 in my opinion, in that area. About 40 years old, you're striving out there. You've realized that what I'm doing now works. Let me find out how to make more money and how to capitalize on what I'm doing. You go from being if you're a tradesperson, you go from learning your trade to wanting to own your own business. Like, things change. Even if you're not a trade person and you have a degree and you say, hey, I'm a nurse, you might want to become a nurse practitioner. Once you become that, you get that under your belt. Maybe I should open up my own practices. So you strive to keep going on. That doesn't happen until later on in life with most men, which is the security that a lot of women are looking for. But unfortunately, men don't get there until later. It's just not really what typically happens. No, it can happen, but it's not the norm.
Are you seeing anybody right now?
I'm not.
Okay. Who's your last relationship?
24 single.
About a year ago.
Single since 23.
That was about 6 months.
Oh, that's short.
6 months, a year ago? That's not a lot.
Yeah.
You want any kids?
I do.
How many?
I want 2 for sure. 3 would probably be my max. No, not my max, my personal. Like, if my husband wanted more kids than 3 and I have more than 3.
So you don't always ask, do you want to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant?
For me, like, I would say no. Like, okay, I don't want to work. Okay, let me answer on this.
No, that's the answer.
For me, I would say, like, okay, I have 2 sisters, so it's.
Do you want to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant with your first kid?
Direct question.
I have to, no.
No.
Right. What percentage of the family?
Most women don't want to. Most men, it's an expectation. I mean, we're not like, hey, my wife's with child, I'm just not going to work afterwards. It's just not really how it's wired in us. So we're going to be the providers. We're going to go out and hunt. We need to bring the food back. We need to bring the meat back. And then as men, we need to kind of understand how big our clan can get, right? So if I can only provide for two, maybe I have two. If I can't provide for two, don't keep on having more. And that needs to be where the logic-based thinking goes and not the feelings-based thinking goes. So if she wants to have three tops, but you're struggling with one, somebody has to be logical enough to say, hey, maybe we should just have one, which is not ideal for the child. I think that two or more, but one is fine. Don't keep on saying, hey, we're going to keep having them until we have the sex or the gender that I want. I'm going to keep having them until I have a girl. And all of a sudden you got 5 kids and you got 4 boys and 1 girl. Or you have the opposite. You have 4 girls and 1 boy. I've known people on both sides. I've known people who live in poverty who have 4 sisters. And they have 4 sisters because dad wanted a boy. Dad is out of his mind. He's not thinking logical. He's thinking emotionally. On the other side, I've known the exact same scenario. People who have 4 boys and a girl. And people living in bad situations in poverty. And it just affects your kids later on. But most women don't typically want to work after they've had children. I mean, you want to raise your kids, and the children are going to learn their first things from their mom. So they're going to learn how to act, how to speak, how to walk. Mom wants to be there teaching that. And as a man, when you choose who you want to marry or who you want to be with, that's kind of one of the things you picked. Is this person suitable enough to be with my children and raising my children? That's something you narrow down. It's not just based off looks and all that. It's a lot that should go into you making that decision before you secure or connect, marry a woman. I'm a pro-marriage person, so this is just what I'll talk about when I talk into these videos is I want marriage. I want people to be together because that's the expectations that I want from my children, and I would not give advice that's going to go against what I would normally do. So if you have a child and you're 9 months, and then you have your baby, you have your maternity leave for 12 weeks. Typically, they want you to delay for so many weeks before you try to conceive again. You know, you do have those Irish twins of 2 children that are born in the same year. It's not highly recommended, but on average, you could be having a child every 2 years, giving you 12 weeks off. So even in those 12 weeks off of having 3 kids, you're going to be off for a year, almost 36 or 37 months in that year anyways, if your pregnancies go well. The more kids, the more challenging. And who wants to just go back to work to pay significant money for someone else to raise your kids? I mean, there's a lot that goes into the logic based off of the narrative that the system, or the narrative that, not the Matrix, but the narrative that society wants to give. You are still wonderful women without having to prove something by going to a 9-to-5 and feeling you have to compete with men. And men are men, women are women. Let's just do this thing differently and survive and move forward and thrive and have families and stay together.
What percentage of the family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime?
In a perfect world, none.
She's honest.
For it to be right.
All right. So, and you're in Florida?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Atlanta. How much money is a man going to need to make to provide for a middle class lifestyle for a stay-at-home wife and 3 kids in the middle class?
In Georgia, I mean, upwards of $700,000.
That's a lot. That's not that much, but all right, that's in the top 1% of men. Mm-hmm. Have you ever dated a man making $700,000?
700,000.
Hello? Oh, I'm here.
700,000.
Have you ever dated a man making $500,000?
No.
Have you ever dated a man making over $100,000?
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
I mean, $100,000.
What percentage of men make over $100,000 in this country?
I watch your show. I can't remember this number, but I know it's less than 10%.
Less than how many?
Less than 10, right?
Does your father make almost $1 million a year?
No, my dad makes almost 6 figures a year.
Almost 6 figures.
So that's not a six-figure.
So I gotta ask the question, man. Your mother and father have been married for a long time, and your father is doing better than most, but he's not making anywhere close to the exorbitant amount of money you just said. Why do you need that?
No, I thought you were asking the question.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how much money he would need to make, but what I'm saying, I accept that. But it's close to 300,000, 400,000, but that's still a lot of money. Because the next questions come is, how tall are you?
It's a lot of money.
How tall are you?
So,
How tall are you?
Here comes the heat wave.
5'4".
5'4".
Dress size.
8.
How much did you weigh last time you weighed yourself?
8.
170-ish.
You're not a dress size. 8.
About 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about a
Image
$1.80.
consultant in real life. If you're 5'4",
Ooh,
170,
5'4".
I can look in your face and tell you're closer to a 10, 12.
No.
Okay.
What you wear and what you should wear is two different things. Jamming into 8.
This is my thing with that philosophy as far as the money, right? So a man who makes $300,000 a year, obviously there's nothing wrong with that. There's not anything wrong with a man who makes $40,000 a year, or $50,000 a year. But for me,
what are you doing?
if you have,
what are you doing?
I'm logging into, I have a call at 11. But for me, a man who makes that much money, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have, like for me, I'm the type of woman, I want to retire my parents. I have, certain goals that I want to reach. And if
what do you do? Did you go to college?
I stopped going to college about a year ago.
All right, so how are you going to retire?
Yeah, see. Unrealistic expectations. I didn't go to college. We'll figure out what a career is at some point in time of this. Didn't finish college, didn't finish that, so where are you going to make this money to retire your parents? That expectation is kind of weird. Now, I do understand feeling like you want to give back to those who gave to you. But to say I'm going to retire my parents, I don't understand it. Guys don't really think like that. Unless you're mama's boy. Your mama's boys thinks like that. They're thinking they ain't there trying to retire your parents. They're worrying about retiring mama. Now, if you are in a position to do that, fine. But if you're not, and you're talking about, I want to be married, and I want to have 1 to 3 kids, and pay 0% of the bills, so you expect to marry a man who's going to retire your parents? Oh, what about his parents? I mean, that's not going to... A man who's making... If I made $500,000 and I didn't retire my parents, I'm not going to retire yours. And that shouldn't be the expectation that I'm going to... My parents, if they put me in a position to become this high earner like that, I'm pretty sure that their expectations wouldn't be for me to... They're not doing this for their retirement plan or their backup plan. Oh, we got to make the most out of our kids as possible so that once they get old, they can be able to take care of us. These parents who put kids in these positions, they're not focused on that. They don't want that. They don't want that. I mean, I wouldn't want that. My kids become some great high-earning people. I'm not saying athletes or entertainers, but let's just become that. Use that money, invest that money, set up your kids in your future legacy, lineage. Go out that way with stuff. Don't be worrying about what's back here. I'm going to be gone at some point in time. I did what I could do to put you where you're at. So what you need to do is where you're at is do what you can do to put your kids where they're going to be. Not saying, hey, I'm finally here and I'm just going to throw my money back behind me. Man, I don't... Now, I don't think that there's anything wrong with being there for your family and helping your family if need be. But to have that as your plan? Now you see why you're 24 and you had a relationship in a year. The last relationship was 6 months. Yeah.
how you gonna retire? No, listen, no.
I trade currency.
Okay, you trade currency. That's fine. Where do you live?
I live in Buckhead.
Okay. You don't live. You live by yourself. You're how old again? 24.
24. I live with my sister. Me and my sister.
So you're not living alone.
You trade currency. How long you been doing that?
3 years.
All right. Then, are you doing financially well?
I am.
So you want to retire your family? What about why would your husband want to retire his in-laws?
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. So for me, if a man doesn't make that much money, or even if he does make that much money,
I'm telling you what. If she says, "I want to pay 0% of the bills," so that I can take my money and retire my parents, but he works and uses all. So I'm going to then take away time from my family, my children, my husband's lineage. I'm going to take time away from that to go to work and have a babysitter or somebody watch my kids so that I can take my income and retire my parents. No guy's gonna go with that. No.
My issue with that is I wouldn't necessarily feel like it needs to be my life goal to put my entire financial stake on a man because he makes $100,000 a year. If I want to retire my parents, if I have certain goals that I feel like I feel like my parents deserve to be retired early. I feel like they deserve
Stop.
lifestyle.
Deserve.
Okay, go ahead.
You ain't talking like nobody's wife.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't feel like I should put my whole financial burden on my husband, but yet I'm going to take my income and retire my parents. And it was basically going to put the financial burden on your husband. I mean, your parents deserve to be retired. I mean, everybody should plan for their retirement. We all should be wanting to be retired. Unless you come across, hit the lottery, and you just fall up on some money, I think it's crazy to think that you're going to have a successful relationship and take time away from your relationship to work on just the one over here. Because like I said, it's got to be equal. What if his parents on his side, what if they're still working and doing things? We got to retire them too? Well, what if they're not even together? What if they're both separated and remarried? Do I got to retire both? Do I got to retire 3 sets of, this can get out of line, out of control. No one's going to agree. Minimal people are going to agree to that. I won't say no one. And the person who does is a sucker, and he ain't going to be making this much money because he's going to have options not to deal with this. I know I wouldn't deal with that.
You talking like a dude.
Boom.
Me? Some would say.
Yeah, and the kind of man that make that kind of money, you talking about, ain't gonna deal with a man like you.
No.
You ain't talking about what you want. What the I mean, the man's made that kind of money. He's looking for a wife to raise his own legacy. Not worried about your family and what you want to do for your mom and daddy. That's their life. He exactly. Got parents. He retired his parents before he.
That's what I'm saying.
But your responsibility is supposed to be thinking about your man and what you do for your legacy, not what you do to pay your parents back.
Exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That would be my life choice. So
as a single woman, yes.
Yeah.
A man who makes $100,000, $300,000 a year, that's good money. But for my specific life goals, at 24, with
look at Kevin's face.
And
plenty of options for what? Plenty of options for what?
For dating, and as far as the time.
You ain't got no plenty of options for dating.
Let me ask you.
You got plenty of options for dating, but you've been single for a year. I mean, maybe that's by choice, but you got plenty. You got options knocking down your door. Apparently, there are no suitable options because the last suitable option was a year ago, and it only lasts 6 months. So I can't stand when people overinflate things and try to make them bigger than what they are. Delusions of grandeur. They think they're just bigger. Right now, This is what happens when the rubber meets the road with people like this.
What would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? Just your face.
Don't
you
do
cannot
it.
use 7. Fresh face out.
I can't see your face. What I
Fresh
see?
face out of the shower, I would say a 6.
Okay, a 6.
And when I'm dressed, hair, all that, I would say a 7, 8.
See, why do people
So
do
yourself an
that?
adjustable.
Why do people do that? When I'm dressed, hair and everything, men, it's one of those like, you know, gifts or whatever you see, those gifts that say like, you know, what I do at work, what people think I do at work versus what I really do at work. And it's just one of those Instagram photos of, you know, what he thinks he's going to marry and what he's actually going to marry. Unless you're going to be looking like this, dolled up and done up 24/7 around the house for your man, what you're able to look like, and then you're going to walk around the house with a bonnet on, with sweatpants on, looking all disheveled. People don't care what you're going to look like once you go out in public and then you look all crazy at home. So, yeah, I mean, to have these demands and you just I don't want to go too far off the top with this, but I don't understand why people think the hair, once they do the hair up, which based off of her look of no hair and her hat on, I would wonder if she's following the standard trend of wigs and weaves and lace fronts and all that, which does, in my opinion, it is so unattractive to see all the baby hair glued and the wig on and the nails. But some people think that I look like a 10 because I look horrible. But that's just my personal opinion. Don't get all upset.
Yes.
So you put yourself on the same level as
Sweetie.
Well, that's what you rank her as. That's
I will give you a 5 at best. I'll give you average, and then your weight and your weight
takes
below
your blow.
average.
okay. And that means, man, the way you're talking is like you say you got a lot of options, but not for the kind of caliber man you talking about. Not that kind of money.
Because you be off the market.
You may have a lot of options for dudes making, you know, average money, but not for no man talking about $300,000-$400,000 a year. Absolutely not. Absolutely
Please
not.
don't
Not here
say
in
she
Atlanta.
is.
well, like I said, for my life goals, a man who makes $100,000, $300,000 a year, that's cool. That's good money, but that's not enough money for me to say I'm stopping what I'm doing and only your cares matter. What I want to do for my family, what my goals are.
This is a single woman. This is a dead woman walking. Dead woman walking.
I mean, this is my thing, and like I said, I have a call, so I'm gonna go.
This is just what you have to do in these situations, people. Take the information you're being given and really try to hear it. If you're too busy being defensive and you're deflecting, it's not going to go well in the future for you. I think that Kevin is very direct and he has a similar communication style that I do. I am not as direct when I talk to people because a lot of the people who I do talk to are in my place of employment. But if they ever talk to me on the telephone or I ever see them out at Walmart and I'm not on the clock, they might get they're going to get the same information, but a lot more direct. Like I talk to people the same way I say I talk to like my sister, you know, and I talk to my sister. I tell her what I have to tell her, and sometimes she likes it. Sometimes, the majority of the time, she doesn't like it. But later on in life, typically, you know, we will come back around and have a good conversation about why the information needed to just be as direct as possible and no beating around the bush. Because too many people beat around the bush and leave people in bad situations. Beating around the bush would be Steve Harvey, Derek Jackson, these people telling her how she would be a queen and how all this is going to happen and manifesting. But in real life, I'm not what she's saying, $700,000 earner. I'm not any of that, and I definitely wouldn't tolerate this.
I love a lot of what you say, but that's for a woman who doesn't have any desire to do anything but be a wife.
But the thing is, you're going to have to do all that because your attitude, your masculine energy is going to make sure you got to take care of yourself because the man who has more money, or what you're talking about, won't even deal with you.
Yeah.
Just back and forth. This is gone to your call, but thank you for the back and forth. But did y'all hear this shit? I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. and this is, let me back up. Appreciate the conversation, but see, this is the issue. What does a man have to do to make $300,000-$400,000 a year, 500, 700,000? And women just talk about it like it's just no big deal. Like, hey man, good. That money's good. Good. Are you out of your French toast, man?
Yeah, good. To make $100,000, 10% of men make that. Smaller percent of women, around 7%. $100,000 is good money. $100,000 is more than 90% of other people make. That's great. That's really good money. That's really good money. And if you have two high earners come together, a high income woman and a high income man come together, that's great. But the dynamics of the money should not make the relationship. So you're still going to have your structure.
She talks about it like, it's just, like you got extra cheese on the pizza or some shit. Other than a man had to become something to get that. You realize why men are saying they're done with women, modern women like that? Because a woman tells men what they think they deserve by your attitude and your appearance. And if you're 5'4", 180 pounds, you're already telling the man you don't deserve. I'm a 6 and an 8. What? No. But that's the only way to justify it. And far too many women think because they have talked good and got ambitious goals that their socioeconomic status improves their sexual marketplace value. You ladies might not like the way I say things, but you need to ask yourself, would you want your brother, who's a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, had to go make himself the top 10%, 5%, 3%, 1% of men to bring home a woman like that talking about she wants to retire her parents? That's her.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Dr. Tony. Hey, I'm going to introduce my family to my wife. What does she do? Oh, she does something on, she trades currencies on the side. Okay, that's great. So what is she doing now? Oh, she trades the currency and she gives the money to her parents to retire her parents. Well, where are the kids at during this? Oh, the kids are at the babysitters. Well, how often does she do this? Oh, she does this full time. It's 40 hours a week. If not part time, it's 32 hours a week. So she does it often because it's something she really wants to do. And she really feels that she shouldn't have to hold back what she wants in life because of our money. So she's set on being yeah. That sounds like a good situation.
Plan. That's why I say put your dick up. Where did you hear this woman talk about? Here's what my parents have been married since you're young. Where's the wife? That was the man.
All right, everyone. So that's going to conclude this video. I think Kevin hit the nail on the head right here with this one. You let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. And if you're somewhere in the middle, send me some content to let me know what you all think that I should review and is more appropriate that'll help this channel grow. I believe everything that I stated in this video. I will stand beside it. I do not think that this woman really thought well of what's going on and understand the position that she's asking a man to be in order to be with her. So it's a lot to ask in order to be with her, and I think that's a lot to ask in order to be with anybody. Because your legacy and your family is where it's at. My wife and I, we make great money, but the thing is, if it boiled down to the legacy and the family, my wife would stay at home, and she agrees that that's what she would do. If it became an issue, she agrees that that's what she would do. It wouldn't be, well, my life goals say that I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I can't do it. No. All right, everyone, if you enjoyed this kind of content, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out one of the videos that are going to be here, and check out the next one we'll be coming up with in the next week. I'm trying to let out content at least once a week. These videos get a little bit hard to edit with the green screen, so this one does not, and it saves me probably about 2 hours of time. So let's get rolling, and we'll be seeing you in the next one.